What's going on, sports fans? This is Jake Waxman
and Tyler Lavalette
coming to you for one last time in the good old year of 2024, one last Friday Roundtable. Let's start things off with a bombshell. Tyler, did I hear that correct? Is there a bombshell in terms of news that we
Yes,
just heard?
there is, in fact, and it involves a very expected streaming company, but one that still seems unexpected in a way. Netflix, earlier today, acquired the U.S. rights to the 2027 and 2031 Women's World Cup competitions.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to start off with this. It looks like Netflix and chill is evolving before our very eyes. Okay, so maybe I'm not too surprised that Netflix is now getting into sporting deals, so we can Netflix and chill and watch sports now. But the World Cup, that's definitely a shock. I can't say I saw that coming, but they must have, through negotiations, and I guess FIFA probably took a great look, I'm willing to bet, on a lot of different networks. And Netflix, they probably came up with a deal that FIFA could not refuse.
I feel like so. I mean, it's just crazy to think, heading into 2024, that Netflix was content with not having any live sports, maybe, and some good documentaries, though, and stuff. That's okay. But live sports was basically what Reed Hastings was not wanting to do. There were rumors of him getting to Formula One, but nothing came out of that. But then you start seeing things like Monday Night Raw coming on January 6th. Then you had the Jake Paul-Mike Tyson boxing event. You have a couple one-off golf competitions. And then you have 2 NFL games on Christmas Day coming up that will also be shown in local markets of the team taking part. So Netflix isn't going into anything constant like Amazon's Thursday Night Football or their upcoming coverage of NASCAR and the NBA. But with the Women's World Cup in 2027 in Brazil and the 2031 location yet to be announced, it seems like they're going for more event type of stuff, because that's what they're doing. They're treating it like it's a spectacle, because it is, and it gives them the opportunity to make these more documentaries about it in essentially real time in a way.
Honestly, everything you just said, it brings up a lot of great points, and even something now that I'm starting to think about. So Netflix looking to go into showing more live sports so that they could build more documentaries, or just they want to show live sports because they want to have an opportunity to learn from their experiences so they can create more live documentaries surrounding the sports that Netflix themselves, cover. This is a really interesting move for the company. You mentioned all the deals they had with the NFL and other sports. Mm-hmm. So, and I think they have a deal with NASCAR or some other motorsport. Is that correct?
That's Amazon.
Okay, sorry. I need to listen better.
It's fine, but no. But Netflix, of course, the road's going to be a bit bumpy for next Wednesday's game if you were to look back on the Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight. A lot of people were having streaming issues with that, and it did not go over so well.
Yeah, absolutely. So this World Cup that they pretty much just signed on to, or signed a deal with FIFA with to get the broadcasting rights, it's going to be a huge learning experience for Netflix, because it's not just going to be one game or a few games. It's a lot of games. Like, this is a big time event for Netflix to have to cover. So they're definitely going to have their work cut out for them. Mm-hmm. Cameras, equipment, personnel, all that stuff. Can they consistently put it all together as the build up towards, or in the years leading up to the World Cup? Can they consistently build everything up towards that event? That is going to be one thing that I'm going to be thinking about. What say you, Ty?
Likewise, but there are 2 things I want to point out. Point 1, a lot of the camera work and stuff in the stadiums are controlled by FIFA in their productions in the world feed, so that's pretty much well handled. Point 2, we still have the 2030 and 2034 Men's World Cup biddings up for grabs. Don't be surprised if Netflix also makes a move for those 2 with the 6 countries hosting in 2030 and Saudi Arabia in 34.
Absolutely. As Tyler pointed out, two really good things, and obviously FIFA having the ownership rights to the cameras, that's going to help Netflix out a lot, I think, and also it's going to help them learn the business of getting more, not just the sports that they've already signed deals with and are working towards bringing the broadcast to right now to our televisions, but when the World Cup is going to be a great learning experience for Netflix. So, in retrospect, it's going to be interesting to see what other approaches they might take. What other things do we need to look out for when it comes to Netflix showing these World Cups? What else can we expect? Those are questions that I have at the moment. Don't you think, Tyler?
Absolutely. There's going to be a lot of U.S. media personnel that are going to be needed for the studio coverage and the hosting of and the commentary for the matches as well, mind you. So there's going to be a lot of work they're going to have to do to get that up and running.
Absolutely. But with all the challenges, with all the trials and the tribulations, with all that stuff, this is something that I can't say I expected to talk about coming into today's Friday Roundtable, but hey, this is another sign that we're moving towards the future. This is it. The future is coming to us much faster than any of us can anticipate. Sure, okay, so not everybody has a Netflix account. So if you want to watch soccer, you got 3 years. So it's not like it's going too fast, but also in a way, like I've said this time and time again, I know I sound like a broken record when I say this, but the future of broadcasting, it's already here. And if it wasn't already here, well, it's coming fast.
That I can agree with a lot.
And I'm looking forward to seeing these broadcasts of the Women's World Cup. And whatever other events that Netflix decides to do, I'm curious to see what kind of graphics they take, what kind of approach they take, these teams of broadcasters that they're going to put together. It intrigues me quite a bit. The big question I have for Netflix in terms of all this is, what's the vibe going to be like once they hit the ground running? What is this vibe? What's the energy going to be like? That's my biggest question for Netflix, because if they can put together broadcasting teams that deliver a good vibe, especially for the Women's World Cup, live sports on Netflix, it could be a real winner.
It can also be a winner if the 2021 Cup is held in the U.S. and Mexico as well, because that's going to be time zone friendly. But we'll see.
Absolutely. And keep in mind, U.S. sports market, biggest one on the planet. And that's what Netflix is shooting for, to entertain the biggest sporting market on the planet. Not just guys like me and Tyler and anyone else who watches sport, not just across the world, the U.S., okay? Because you got the World Cup in North America in 2026. That is going to be a huge deal. Right back to you, Tyler Lavalette.
Absolutely, and that's what I want to end this on with. It's going to be interesting to see what comes up going forward. And yeah, people, you're going to need to have, if you're a sports fan, you're going to want to have Netflix. And if you're not a sports fan and don't like that your subscription money is going to be going towards this and these whole subsidy type deals, get comfy.
Yep, as I've said before, the future is here, and it's time to live in this world. But hey, if you're a person who likes watching the Women's World Cup, the good news is you still have 3 years left to get your Netflix subscription. But choice is yours. Mm-hmm. I'm not in any way saying you should get one. Just sports fans, whatever you want to do. Okay, Tyler and I are just letting you know what's about to happen 3 years from now.
That is correct. Yeah, plenty of time until then. Anyway, Jake, you got a rather interesting topic.
Oh, all right. Sports fans, shifting gears. I'm not going to sugarcoat this next subject. Chicago sports is in a dark age. And so, a dark age, we haven't seen anything like this since the 70s, where none of our teams were really all that good. I mean, here's the thing. Every city at some point goes through a dark age. You know, even Detroit has. New York, Los Angeles, you know, we all have these kind of years where we don't have it, where a city does not have even one good sports team right now. And you know what? Right now, that is the case when it comes to Chicago sports in this decade or the 2020s. So let me start with this, okay? I'm going to give you guys, folks, a lowdown on every Chicago's team's last postseason appearance.
Okay.
The Hawks and the Cubs last made the postseason in 2020. Both of those two teams lost in the first rounds of their tournaments or their postseason tournaments, Stanley Cup playoffs, and MLB playoffs, and that was the COVID-shortened year. So much weird stuff.
Yeah. Can we not go back to that year?
I'd rather not even think about it anymore. It just sports in general was in a funk that year. Like, that was a throwaway year. So, and then the Bears, 2021, that was the last year they made the postseason. And then for the Bulls this is crazy. The Bulls are the most recent Chicago sport. They have Chicago's most recent postseason appearance across any sport, 2022. And then the White Sox, they made it to, I think, the NLDS in 2021.
ALDS.
Sorry, guys. I'm off to a rough start today. ALDS. But that was the last time the White Sox made an appearance. So now to give you guys a further lowdown. Okay, the Chicago Blackhawks, things do not look good for them right now. They're not doing so well. But you can give them but Chicago fans, let's give them a pass. They're in rebuild mode, okay? We had our great run in the last decade, 3 Stanley Cups. We're paying off the debts or the mortgage on that, whatever you want to say. We owed a lot of money to the hockey world or whatever, however you want to say it. The Hawks are rebuilding. We've been paying for those 3 Stanley Cups, especially in a lot of money, the Tays and the Kaner contracts. And you know what? Hey, the Bucks have been paying it off, and now they're building towards the future. So it's not good right now, but things could still get better. And it could be worse for Chicago sports fans. Moving on to the Cubs. Okay. It feels like the Chicago Cubs right now are stuck in neutral. Honestly, they were the only Chicago sports team this year that had a winning record. I think 83-79, but they still didn't make the postseason because they didn't win enough. And I think I am going to turn this over to Tyler Lavalette. I think he has something he would very much like. I see that smile, Tyler. I see it. Go for it.
And let's not forget our friends in the South Side.
Uh-oh. The elephant in the room, or the elephant on South Side. Go for it, Tyler.
He and I had the pleasure of seeing the Tigers in both Chicago stadiums this past August. And the one that we had more fun at was Wrigley.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you keep going. Sorry.
But the other team we went to was now Wakefield, just had an awful year. And they, in the words of one LB commentator, definitely went full White Sox. They made infamy by breaking the 1962 Mets record for the most losses in a single season. It was 120. The 2024 Chicago White Sox had 121 losses.
Oh, my God. And you know what? The White Sox, they weren't just bad this year. They weren't just stuck in purgatory. They weren't bad. They were historically awful. And the vibe that me and Tyler experienced at what is now called Rate Field reflected the historical awfulness that was the Chicago White Sox of 2024. Oh, my God. Okay, so the Cubs, they didn't have a good season either, but at least they had a winning record and were in postseason contention before being eliminated. Of course, we'll see how things go for them next year. They just traded Cody Bellinger to the New York Yankees, so I mean, Cubs may still be stuck in neutral, but the fans are still going to love them at the very least. But, yeah, hey, it could be worse, Cubs fans. You could be White Sox fans. And hey, for all the diehard White Sox fans out there, I feel truly sorry for. I really do, because they deserve better. And the fans that came out to the game that we went to, they deserved better. But you know what? As long as, I believe Jerry Riesdorf is... Riesdorf. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing. As long as Riesdorf is owning both the Bulls and the White Sox, both are just going to be stuck in purgatory, it sounds like.
And let's not forget the recently launched Chicago Sports Network has had some issues.
Oh, God.
With carriers agreements with especially Comcast in Chicago. So it's good luck trying to watch a Hawks game or the Bulls game right now. It's not fun.
I've heard all about that too. So another thing in terms of Chicago sports that's adding insult to injury. Oh my goodness. So I mentioned the White Sox. Of course, I'll go on to the Bulls. Okay, good news is, before I get to that, I'm not a White Sox fan, so it doesn't hurt me as much. Bulls, and neither does the Bulls, because I don't really watch the NBA, but it seems like the Bulls, for one reason or another, they make a playoff run every now and then, but it feels like this franchise is stuck in the 90s. They're stuck in the era where everybody wanted to be Michael Jordan. At least that's the vibe I get from this team. Mm-hmm. What about you, Ty? You think that when you think of the Bulls, do you think they're stuck in the 90s?
Yeah, it's just not fun.
Absolutely.
Not that I'm a big basketball fan myself, mind you, of how the Pistons have been going, but still, it's not exactly pretty for the Bulls right now.
Yeah, no, indeed. Just 90s purgatory. That's what I'll call it for the Bulls. Like, it seems like no matter what they do, they have truly not moved on from the great one, Michael Jordan. I think his greatness still haunts this franchise.
And let's not forget, we still have one more team to talk about.
Oh, God. I don't want to talk about it, but you know what? I have to for all of you sports fans. The Chicago Bears. This is the team right now that the Chicago sports team that has stabbed me in the heart more times than anybody else. Every single year, at least on 3, maybe more occasions, they stab me in the heart. It's painful. I could go in about the losses this year. And you know what? The big thing about the Bears is I feel like no matter what they do, they can't get out of their own way. They can't get things right. And sports fans, let me show you a clip that illustrates the futility of the Chicago Bears. Let me show you. Perfect example. Trubisky here throws the ball. It's a dime to Javon Wims. Drops the touchdown. Unbelievable. That's the Chicago Bears in a nutshell. Whenever they have the opportunity to right the ship, to get things right, like Javon Wims here, they drop it. They just absolutely fumble the chance away. And if you guys want to know why that is, you only need to look at the curse of the McCaskies. Honestly, I blame them because we've had so many quarterbacks, so many general managers, so many, we've had 2 presidents. Nothing goes right. The one thing that has stayed the same is the ownership. And as long as I feel like as long as the McCaskies are in charge, I just don't have hope. I want to give this franchise a chance. I'm doing everything I can. But I keep remembering that the McCaskies are in charge and the almighty dollar speaks. And then here's the thing. Speaking of the Bears, as if that wasn't painful enough, I've got this guy sitting right next to me, and he's got a great team right now to cheer for. And then at the same time, he's laughing at me over here because I got to deal with the misery of the Chicago Bears. Oh. All right, Tyler, I'll let you take it away. It's your turn, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And if you want to see some fun that Detroit has had, in spite of the injuries, yes, on the defense, it's not pretty, but let's go back to the game winner against the Packers. It's not against Chicago per se, but here's some of what it's like to be in Detroit right now.
Look at that happy man. Cheering.
I lived through 0-16. I've lived through blacked out games. To go from that to a packed Ford Field, being the hottest ticket in the city right now, chanting for quarterback's name, and having two players that name them have a duo nickname that's honoring a great video game characters. It's just fun right now. Yeah, the Pistons haven't been doing okay right now to start, but they did bad last season. The Wings were close to making the playoffs, but aren't doing good right now. The Tigers surprisingly made the playoffs last year, which no one saw coming. And I'm happy about that. And the Lions, yeah, we have defensive injuries right now. Yeah, we didn't do a win against Buffalo, but we still are in the top seed contender for the NFC's top on playoffs. I like our team right now, and I don't know if it'll happen this year, but I feel like we're going to be seeing a Super Bowl here in Detroit. A few years ago, it just seemed laughable that you would hear me say that it was the best team to bring a team right now to bring a title. Now, I believe it, and it's fine.
Well, at least one of us is smiling about our football teams. So what you just saw right there, sports fans, Tyler just with perfection illustrated the contrast between a franchise that's got its stuff together and a franchise that does not. And here's the thing. I'm glad Tyler's happy with his franchise and all those things, minus the Pistons, of course.
Thank you, yeah.
I'm glad and he had a lot to smile about, and admittedly, I've had some things to smile about too this season. Okay, here's the thing. Okay, there's things I like about the Chicago Bears. There's players on that team that I like. Caleb Williams is growing on me. I like Roma Dunze, and I really like Montez Sweat, okay? I can't wait to see what coach they hire, but they got to get that right, okay? The only thing I do not like about the Bears right now is the ownership. And here's the thing. The McCaskey family, they seem like good people, all right? They good-hearted. They're trying their best. But like many Chicago fans, I don't believe they really have the know-how to carry this franchise forward. And we need to find somebody, like what the Lions did with Sheila Ford. We need to find somebody, whether it's within the McCaskey family or outside of the McCaskey family, that can help this team gain that know-how, move forward, and become a modern-day NFL franchise, for goodness sake. Is it that hard?
If the NFL says, hey, we want to kind of help you out, guys, a little, take it. The Lions had some help from the NFL at times, and I feel like it's paying off now.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. For me, they got to get this head coaching hire right. Ben Johnson or Mike Vrabel. For me, it's got to be one of those two. I think one of those two guys will help turn things around for the Bears. If it's somebody like a Cliff Kingsbury, we're so done for them. So much for modernization. Anything else you wanted to say?
Yeah, I got one thing to say about Ben Johnson. I don't think he's going to be available right now. Can you please wait until January or maybe mid-February?
Hope my Bears have the patience. If they really want them, they're going to have to be patient, just like Tyler said. Now, to close off this subject, right now, okay, so it looks like it's a dark age right now for Chicago sports, but it's not all bad news. I mentioned the Blackhawks are rebuilding. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. Under Anders Sorensen as of right now, they're 4-3 under their new coach, Anders Sorensen. Maybe, just maybe, he could be the guy to help not only right the ship for the Blackhawks, but to help not only just to help with this rebuild, but possibly speed it up too. I like what I've seen from him. And right now, Blackhawks hockey under Anders Sorensen, I mean, it hasn't been a good season so far, but with Anders Sorensen taking over as interim coach, it's actually been a lot of fun to watch. And I mentioned the Cubs too. Okay, they'll always have their fans. And you know what? That NL Central division, nobody knows what it's going to be like. It's a true wild card. And with it being a wild card, Cubs might just have a chance if they make all the right moves. And then I mentioned the Bears. Okay. And then there's the Bears. If they get the head coaching hire right, they could change the culture. I just don't know if they'll do it or not. It's one of the great unknowns. And then to wrap this up, I've got no hope for the White. I don't even really follow the White Sox all that much. The Bulls, yeah, both of those two are stuck in purgatory right now. A different kind of purgatory, if you want to say that. And then there's also, I forgot to mention one other team, the Chicago Fire. They've been doing pretty bad too, from what I've heard. They may be named after historically the Great Chicago Fire, but right now the Chicago Fire, they're anything but a Great Chicago Fire. Right now, they're a dumpster fire.
I can't really retort on that one because the MLS doesn't have a team in Detroit, so I can't give you a good comeback there. So pass.
All right. And now it's time for me and Tyler to shift gears. And sports fans, considering that this is our last Friday Roundtable of 2024, for our final subject, me and Tyler are going to take a look back on the year 2024 in sports. So, Tyler, what are some stories that you think are going to define the year 2024 in sports?
The MLB was able to finally get the one matchup in the World Series it always wanted in the Yankees and Dodgers. And it's doing very good ratings in spite of only going 5 games. And the Japanese audience was huge thanks to Ohtani and Yamamoto. And it's going to be looked back on fondly with that as a result because the two biggest teams in the two biggest markets in the country facing off. Rob Manfred wanted it. He got it. I think he's happy now.
Yeah, indeed. That's a good one, actually. And Ohtani, great ball player. He just came into the league like fireworks and just took the league by storm. Absolutely a story that everybody's going to remember from 2024. I've got a few in mind.
Okay, bring it.
And we can react to them. So here's my top 5 stories from 2024, or sports stories that are going to define 2024. Coming in at number 5, the cringeworthy Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight.
Yeah.
Go for it, Tyler. I don't have much to say about it.
I didn't watch much of the fight at all. I only watched a little bit at a bar one night. But, yeah, who asked for it? No, seriously. Who? I didn't.
Neither did like, seriously, and we had streaming issues with this fight. So, okay, you know what? I think this was all some sort of stupid show that was just put together to generate revenue and ratings. That's the only thing I can think of. But you know what? People are still talking about it, so it's big enough. And, all right, moving on to number 4. How about this one? This is one that'll also make Tyler and all of you sports fans out there laugh.
Okay, hit it.
Scotty Scheffler being arrested before the PGA Championship. I didn't know what to think of this at first. From what I heard, he ran a stop sign and then got into a physical altercation with a cop. But he did end up getting released, but it left its mark on this year because this guy won the Masters too. Go ahead, Tyler.
Okay, I don't get it. I mean, the circumstances that led to it, a guy got killed by a golf cart or something, or a shuttle bus. Sad. But it's just crazy that Scotty Scheffler didn't get to start his day on the practice green. He started his day in a Louisville jail cell. Wow. Just wow.
Talk about an interesting way to put golf on the map. One of your big stars getting arrested because, I guess, of some... I mean, okay, so he ran a stop sign, but I heard the whole altercation was some kind of misunderstanding. But it sounds like to me, you know, both sides of the story, Scotty Scheffler and whatever court cases or he might be facing. It looks like things are kind of healing on that end. I haven't heard much about it, but just
They did get dismissed.
that's good. All I could
Charges
think to
dropped.
myself is when I heard about this, like, what the heck is going on here? What is Scotty? What did you do, man?
Honestly, I think it's fair to say he didn't do anything wrong in the situation too much. So,
Yeah, I think whatever he did, it wasn't really worth a lengthy jail sentence, pretty much. But
well, at least a night or something, or a couple hours at least.
yeah, that's what I think it was too. But hey, people tuned into this, so for that reason, and due to the explosive nature of this story, it makes number 4 on my list. Moving on to number 3, the Olympic Games in Paris. The good and the bad.
All right.
Go for it,
Let's see
Tom.
what we got here. It's of course it started pretty well for the idea of having the River Seine being used for the opening ceremonies. Awesome idea. One of the skits, of course, may or may not have gotten some controversy from Christian right groups. Not go too far into the weeds on that one, but it happened. But regardless of what happened, France did a great job. And not to mention all the athletes that did great this year. It should be well just honored for that. All that U.S. still won gold, at a lot of gold medals as expected, and I'm not surprised with how successful it was, especially in gymnastics.
Yep. Team USA having another successful successful Olympic Games. And keep in mind, there was a tie for the most gold medals between Team USA and Team China. The tiebreaker was who had the most medals overall. And the USA prevailed over China in the overall medal rankings due to having the most medals, of course. But I guess to keep this short, hey, it wasn't a perfect Olympic Games, but I will say this. Paris was a perfect city to host them. And for all the controversies and stuff that they went through, they did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I think they did good, and it's just funny to see Chinese people on their social media platforms say, "Oh, we've got more medals than them because you're combining Hong Kong and Taiwan." It doesn't work like that.
No, indeed. All right, moving on to my number 2 subject. So we had a first-time champion this year in the NHL, the Florida Panthers. They win their first Stanley Cup on the year in a 7-game effort against the Edmonton Oilers. And that was a great series. Edmonton, they almost pulled the comeback, but just fell 1 game short. Go for it, Tyler.
Well-deserved for Florida, and honestly, them and Tampa are successes in hockey's southern expansion. That and should be looked at with great fondness now as hockey markets.
Absolutely. Hey, biggest thing I learned from that Stanley Cup is Florida, they're going to have a good team for some time, and hockey in Florida is it's here to stay. Simple as that.
If it wasn't here to stay already with Tampa, the Miami market has also proved it now.
Indeed. And finally, coming in at number 1, Caitlin Clark's first season in the WNBA, or whatever, the Caitlin Clark effect, going from college basketball to the WNBA. I mean, it brought eyes to the big game, and also props to Caitlin Clark for showing her toughness after all the crap she took.
Absolutely well-deserved to be Athlete of the Year, as we talked about recently. Caitlin Clark has had such an success on women's sports, and the overall trend in women's sports being popular these days is one good reason why when we talk about Netflix getting the Women's World Cup right, only proves it. Women's sport overall is having a good run, so.
Yes, indeed. And like I've said before in the last episode, Caitlin Clark, despite all the trials and tribulations she is going through, she is leading the charge for the improvement of women's sports, and pretty much she is the shining light for women's sports,
as she should be. Well deserved.
Yep. First of all, Tyler, my apologies. Was there another event or two that you thought will define this year, or is there any more you can think of, or nothing really?
Well, I know, like I alluded to in the Chicago segment, we talked about going to both Chicago stadiums. You and I did back in August.
We're getting into personal memories, sports fans, and I was going to ask Tyler this question. What was your favorite memory, sports memory, if anything, Tyler? And it could be anything, even something you witnessed. You take the stage, my man.
To just be able to say that I got to go to 2 Chicago stadiums for baseball. Yeah, I got to go to the Lions game, and yeah, that was fun. But I've been to Ford Field a lot before. I finally got to tick off Wrigley Field and, well, Guaranteed Rate Field now. It's just, I always wanted to go to Chicago watching baseball. It was a dream come true for me to do that. It was awesome, and I'm sure Jake over there would say the same thing about it because I invited him to come for a reason.
Awesome, man. And first of all, I just want to thank Tyler and his family for that experience. I'm forever grateful, eternally grateful. That was our greatest adventure. And I will just say, sports fans, I don't really have a favorite sports memory for this year. I've got multiple. I just don't have one that really tops the other. As Tyler alluded to, our experience at Wrigley Field, that was one of my favorite memories because not only did I get to spend some time with Tyler Lavalette and his family, great people, tremendous people, but we had our greatest adventure yet. We went outside of Detroit for once and into a city that I hadn't been to in years. I've been through it, but I had not done anything in Chicago in years until 2024. So it was a special honor to not only return to Chicago, go with my man Tyler and his family, but to experience Wrigley Field, Wrigleyville, the atmosphere, everything about it was so perfect. My only regret, of course, was not taking a video, so I would have shared a clip like that with you guys today on that. So Wrigley Field, really special place, and sports fans, and for all you baseball fans, you got to go check out Wrigley. You got to check it all out. It is not only worth it, it's sports heaven and Wrigley. Really beautiful.
Full disclosure, make sure your seats are not obstructed by the support poles.
That was a bit of a difficulty, and it did in a way play a part in why I didn't take a video, because those structures. But it was okay. You know what? All I cared about was spending time with Tyler and his folks at Wrigley. Another memory that I want to talk about, going with my dad to watch Purdue basketball. I saw a lot of college basketball games this year. I went with my mom and some other members of my family to a Butler basketball game. They played Providence. That one was really intense. It came down to the wire. Butler came up with a game-winning block to win the game, which was really cool. And then watching Purdue basketball play the University of Michigan at Michigan. And then there was also the Sweet 16 in Detroit. I want to say this. That game, I mean, I've never seen anything like that whether you're on the road at home. The road fans, the Purdue Boilermaker fans, Purdue Nation, they took over Chrysler Arena. And me and my dad, all throughout the game, we were hearing chants of "Let's go Boilers." It was things like that made me realize this Purdue Boilermaker team, they're going to the Final Four this year. That was the moment I realized they are going to the Final Four. I'm witnessing a Final Four team, and I and my dad, we are blessed. And of course, NCAA Sweet 16 in Detroit. Motown, great job on that. The vibe was great there. And sports fans, let me share with you my experience at the Sweet 16 in Motown. Can we please roll the clip? This was my view from the seats at Little Caesars Arena. I was pretty high up with my dad. So here, Purdue's in the white, Gonzaga in the blue. So you can see some passing action. And then as the shot clock's running now, here goes the great Maple Zach Edey with a nice layup. Honestly, it was a really special experience, and I wasn't sure we were going to get to do it because ticket prices were through the roof. But my dad, he wanted to do this, so I did it with him, and zero regrets about it. Really special memory. And if anything, this reminds me. So not only this was another moment where I kind of like this. We're watching a very special Purdue team. One other thing I want to mention. There's something else we should remember about 2024, and I'll confess this, being a Chicago guy. 2024 was Motown's year. This was the year of Detroit sports. And not just because the Lions were doing well, but whatever sporting event came to the Motor City was rocking it out. And I hope we continue to see more NCAA March Madness action in Detroit, because Detroit, they do such a great job. Special stuff.
Yeah, they're going to have a Final Four in a few years, so it's going to happen. So Detroit's done pretty well over the years this year, and I see no reason to think why it can't continue. Heck, if, like I said, we win the Super Bowl, it's going to be an epic parade on Woodward.
Oh yeah. Is the Final Four actually coming back to Detroit by any chance? Or
Yeah, sometime later in the decade, I think it is, from what I've heard.
Good for Detroit. I mean, Detroit is a great place for the Final Four. They did a great job in 2009, if I remember correctly. Michigan State was in that Final Four as well. So, hey, obviously I prefer the Final Four being in Indy, but you know what? If any other city deserves another shot at hosting the Final Four, give it to Motown, all right? Let them rock it out. I mean, great place to host it. Tyler, any other memories that you'd like to share this year?
Well, the footage I showed you of the game against the Packers, Lions game Packers, I was there. That was my Christmas gift. I didn't expect to be going to a Lions game for Christmas, but here we go. That happened. I'm proud of my parents for letting me do that.
That's kind of how I feel about my mom and dad. I'm grateful for them because without my mom and dad and without my man Tyler over here, none of these sporting memories that I had in 2024 would have been possible. You got to have great people in your life. Like sports, it's something year in, year out. It brings us together. That's the beauty of sports. Anything else you'd like to share before we sign off in 2024?
Yes. Don't forget the college football playoff is about to start.
That's right. Indiana, Notre Dame, they're playing tonight. Me and Tyler, we made our predictions last week. I'm still sticking with mine. I think Notre Dame just ekes out with a win. What do you think, Tyler?
I'm still good with my predictions. I still think Tennessee gets the upset against Ohio State.
Yeah, we'll find out. I wouldn't be surprised, of course, if the Orange Army of Tennessee takes over Ohio Stadium. All right, sports fans, before we sign off, it's been a tremendous 2024. I'm so grateful, not just for my man Tyler, not only for his family, I'm grateful for my family. So I want to give thanks to everyone. I want to give thanks to our amazing fans out there who watch these videos and all the comments, through anything you do. We are so grateful for it. And me and Tyler would like to thank you all for watching this series, because without your support, this is impossible. And go ahead, Tyler.
I also want to give a shout out to the folks at the Waterford Media Network for these past few weeks. They have allowed us to really improve the production quality, and it is such an honor to have that here in Waterford. We are appreciative of it. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank, especially want to give a special thanks to Rhonda, a special thanks to Mary Jacobs, and I really want to give a really, really special thanks to Josh, who puts in all the work to edit these videos. None of this would be possible without Josh. Josh, you are the man. Thank you so much for everything you have done for us in these last few months of 2024. And we're looking forward to working with you more in 2025, you and the rest of the people here at Waterford Studios.
Absolutely. It's been an honor to do so, and we can't wait to keep going at it. It's going to be great.
Yes, and it's been an absolute joy. All right, sports fans, we're getting ready to sign off. But before we do, to all you sports fans out there, whatever holidays you celebrate, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year to all of you. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for watching. And for the last time in the year 2024, this is Jake Waxman.
And this is Tyler Lavalette.
Wishing you all a good holiday season. See you all in 2025.